really clever the way it works out where to cut, what to cut first. Obviously cuts the centre holes out first, but it cuts them in such a way as to avoid distortion if possible. I'm cutting this on factory settings. It's cutting using 43 amps, 80 psi air pressure. And from here it looks very clean indeed. It's always a good sign when the photo of the hole shows you've got it somewhere near. Right, that is as cut, that's the side we're cut on, and that's the back side. There's very little dross. What's there just simply scraped off. Reasonably square edges. You always get a little bit of taper with plasma. It's the shape of the plasma, or it's just the way it is, but I'm very happy with that. So motivated. Now the gear's welded up or brazed up, I need to make a mandrel to be a good fit in there so I can hold it onto the dividing head. So we'll machine that down to be a nice fit in there, put some threads on the end of it so I can clamp it onto there, and then we'll put a centre in it as well. Watch this for temperature because it's quite warm. We'll take the mill off, then we'll let it cool down. Needs to be a really good fit inside the gear. Right, we'll let that cool down. We'll have a smoke at one time. Now we'll settle for a cup of coffee, I think. Just back the tool out of Fanny's hair there. That should be just about spot on. That's not cheating, that's using what you've got at hand. Right. I should have went a little bit further really, because I've got to try and get a nut onto there. Bastard. I should have made it a little bit longer. But that's how thick that gear was. If I put a centre in there, I should have to move it out of the chuck a little bit and pick it up again, hopefully. But it needs more poking out and that. Excellent, nice and true. Really true enough for a straight cut change wheel. Right, some threads onto there, clamp it onto there with a nice big nut, and that should be enough to stop that from turning. Just to cut those gear teeth in there. You'll be able to skim it up as well, skim both sides, skim the top, obviously before we try and cut the teeth. So the next thing is to mark that, put some threads on. Here's a bit of horrible material, that. Where the hell that come from? I've already got a 5/8 Whitworth die set up for some studs I've got in there, so I'll just use that. I think this may well slip in the truck. If it does, I can just do it by hand in the vise. We'll give it a try and see what happens. Nice and slow. A nice coarse strong thread. Right, that'll do. Not the best thread in the world, but I'm sure it'll be quite sufficient for what I need to do. I was sure I put enough build up on there, but obviously I haven't. It will probably be alright with a tooth not full width, but I'm going to go and I'm going to put a little bit more on these places here and then remachine it. We can set it back up again, no problem. There shouldn't be a problem getting it back in the chuck nice and true. So I might as well do them, and it's going to be a better job altogether. I think I'll just leave it on the mandrel as well. So that's the next thing. Re-weld that. Right, I've touched up the bits that were missing. Got it back in the lathe, so now we can carry on, machine it round again. This tool's chipped, but it's still an interrupted cut, so it's need to be expected really. Just about there. just touching the gear there, you can hear it just touching the teeth. Yeah, I think we'll settle for that. One real fine cut. And just skim that out the face now. Time for the interesting bit. You always be careful with clearance on jobs like this, it's easy to clatter a tool post. Right, I've got things lined up, I've got the cutter bang on, so what I've got to do now is move things around and try cutting a tooth. I've zeroed my DRO so I know exactly how deep I can cut. So I'm going to bring this around now, index it round, and go around that way. There's one there. Need to line the pin up, which is there, and that should cut that tooth there. I'm going to take it back and just make sure that we're all right. I've got too much time in this now not to have it right. Pick a random hole, that one there. Right, happy with that. Unfortunately the cutter's just not up to the job, it's knocked the edge straight off the cutter. I'm not going to be able to do this, sadly. The way it is. Normally that stuff machines quite nicely. It is putting teeth on, but it's not what I want. It's not right, so I'm going to give in. So it's taking the edge off the cutter, so the cutter needs to be resharpened. And we'll find another method of repairing that. So that was a wasted couple of hours, but the setup's interesting, I suppose. I'll show a little bit more how I did set it all up. Once again, it's just time to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all the well wishes and kind words that have been coming in. It really has made a difference. It has lifted me up quite considerably. And don't forget, if you're in a situation where, like, seriously, it's going to be described as desperate, go and get some help. There is help available. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Go and get yourself sorted. Anyway, thanks for watching.